As far as a glass ceiling, I feel that all you can do is give it your absolute best with whatever gifts the universe has given you. And if you make it in some way that other people can recognize, that's fine. But even if you don't quote-unquote make it, you're fine if you've given it your whole heart and soul. From infancy, I have relied on the fiercely sweet spirits of black men, and this is abundantly clear in my work. The infinite faith I have in people's ability to understand anything that makes sense has always been justified, finally, by their behavior. Well, I think indigenous peoples have ways of living on the earth that they've had forever. And they've been overrun by organized religion, which has had a lot of money and power. Helped are those who create anything at all, for they shall relieve the thrill of their own conception and realize a partnership in the creation of the universe that keeps them responsible and cheerful. Howard Zinn was magical as a teacher. Witty, irreverent, and wise, he loved what he was teaching and clearly wanted his students to love it, also. I start each book when it's ready and never before. I never talk about my next project. This is a wonderful planet, and it is being completely destroyed by people who have too much money and power and no empathy. I'm entirely interested in people, and also other creatures and beings, but especially in people, and I tend to read them by emotional field more than anything. So I have a special interest in what they're thinking and who they are and who's hiding behind those eyes and how did he get there, and what's the story, really? It is healthier, in any case, to write for the adults one's children will become than for the children one's mature critics often are. David Icke reminded me of Malcolm X. I advocate that every woman be a part of a circle, and a circle that meets at least once a month, or if you can't do that, once every 2 months or every 4 months. What's really hard is that you could care a lot for someone and not want to live with him anymore. There are those who believe black people possess the secret of joy and that it is this that will sustain them through any spiritual or moral or physical devastation. I live a very secluded life, a very contemplative life and a very meditative one. That is my ideal life. All partisan movements add to the fullness of our understanding of society as a whole. They never detract, or, in any case, one must not allow them to do so. Experience adds to experience. Language is an intrinsic part of who we are and what has, for good or evil, happened to us. A good model of how to work with the enemy internally is presented by the Dalai Lama, in his endless caretaking of his soul as he confronts the Chinese government that invaded Tibet. I just think cities are unnatural, basically. I know there are people who live happily in them, and I have cities that I love, too. But it's a disaster that we have moved so far from nature. It's not possible to stop love. Part of our tradition as black women is that we are universalists. Black children, yellow children, red children, brown children, that is the black woman's normal, day-to-day relationship. In my family alone, we are about 4 different colors. One child must never be set above another, even in casual conversation, not to mention in speeches that circle the globe. I think we have to own the fears that we have of each other, and then, in some practical way, some daily way, figure out how to see people differently than the way we were brought up to. I think that all people who feel that there is injustice in the world anywhere should learn as much of it as they can bear. That is our duty. I don't feel I've had a decent critic ever on the East Coast. It is important to remember yourself. Once you feel loved by the universe, you're already accepted, and you're not really concerned about offending people. We have to wake up. We have to refuse to be a clone. My parents taught me service, not by saying, but by doing. That was my culture, the culture of my family. I know from having had a child, and from having been a child myself, that children will copy you. We must begin seeing other creatures as equal. Existence makes us all equal. When I was 18, I went to the Soviet Union. I kept hearing that America was planning to bomb them, lots of bombs were going to come down on these people. I went there not knowing anything, except that I thought the whole thing was stupid and that I wanted to see who these people were that we were going to bomb. My work is about my life, and what I want to do with it. I gave my archive to Emory University because there's a really dear friend who teaches there, Rudolph Bird, and he's the editor. I'm not convinced that women have the education or the sense of their own history enough, or that they understand the cruelty of which men are capable and the delight that many men will take in seeing you choose to chain yourself. Then they get to say, "See, you did it yourself." I can easily imagine Obama sitting down and talking to any leader, or any person, in the world, with no baggage of past servitude or race supremacy to mar their talks. Some writers sit down without a thought of what they are going to say, and they go through draft after draft. America is not nearly done. We're only in the beginning. Who knows who we will be? Who knows what color we will be? It is all something that, maybe, our descendants, if they survive that long, will see.